Updated as of June 4, 2020, frequently asked questions, precautionary measures before you fly with AirAsia or other airline. 1. What do I need to do before making travel plans? Guests are advised to ensure their eligibility for travel, whether international or domestic, before booking a flight. Please refer here to check travel restrictions and special requirements. Travel for leisure purposes is still not allowed in areas under general community quarantine. More information may be found in Section 4.2 of the Omnibus Guidelines on Community Quarantine of the Philippine government. Such will be eased in areas under Modified General Community Quarantine, see Section 5. The same guidelines also impose travel restrictions depending on age and health conditions, see Section 4.3. Those who are below 21 years old or 60 years old and above will not be allowed to travel in areas under general community quarantine. Pregnant women, among others, will also not be allowed to travel. 2. What flights are available for booking in the Philippines? AirAsia has 4 hubs in the Philippines, namely Manila, Ninoy Aquino International Airport, Clark International Airport, Cebu, Mactan-Cebu International Airport, and Calabo International Airport. The resumption of services will initially be for key selected domestic routes, which will increase gradually to include international destinations around the network, once the situation improves and governments lift borders and travel restrictions. Guests may check airasia.com for available flights as well as airasia.com/flightstatus for an updated status of flights. 3. What relevant guidelines by the Philippine government should I know regarding travel documents for passenger flights? Only passengers with valid travel documents, that is, boarding pass, will be allowed to enter the airport. Local regulation also requires all departing and arriving passengers to complete health declaration and passenger locator forms. Other guidelines by the Philippines Department of Transportation covering the aviation sector may be found here. For domestic travelers, a travel authority or pass is being required by the Department of Interior and Local Government, DILG, to travel across provinces or regions across the country under general community quarantine. Guests may apply for a travel authority or pass at the nearest police station. A medical certificate from the municipal or city health office is needed to apply for the said pass. A barangay certification is necessary as an endorsement to the municipal or city health office to conduct a medical examination. Said travel pass will not be required for travel related to work or business. Complete guidelines from the DILG may be found here. Other travel documents required by local government units may be applicable. Guests traveling on domestic routes are advised to check local travel guidelines. 4. What do I need to know about COVID-19 quarantine and testing policies in the Philippines? The Department of Health, DOE, issued on May 1, 2020 interim guidelines for quarantine and testing procedures for all arriving international passengers, that is, Filipino and foreign nationals, in the Philippines. All arriving international passengers will undergo testing at the airport or designated facility. They will then be required to be quarantined at approved facilities while waiting for test results. Those who yield a negative test result will be made to undergo another 14 days of home quarantine. More information may be found in Section 3 of DOE's Omnibus Interim Guidelines covering arriving international passengers. For domestic travelers, quarantine and testing policies of local government units may be applicable. Guests traveling on domestic routes are advised to check local travel guidelines. 5. Who will shoulder the cost of accommodation at approved quarantine facilities? Arriving international passengers in the Philippines are informed that shouldering the cost of accommodation at approved quarantine facilities will be as follows, according to government guidelines. For returning overseas Filipino workers, OFWs, the cost of quarantine accommodation shall be shouldered by the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration, OWA, for land-based OFWs, and by the local manning agency and/or maritime industry authority for sea-based OFWs. For non-OFWs, including overseas Filipinos, AVs, returning home. They can choose from among the approved quarantine facilities at their own cost. 6. Do I need to wear a mask when traveling? All AirAsia guests will be required to bring their own mask, preferably 3-ply surgical or N95 masks, and wear it properly before, during and after the flight, including during check-in and baggage collection. Please bring along extra masks in case it gets soiled and needs to be changed. 7. Do I need to go through temperature checks during my travel journey? Yes, temperature screening will take place at different checkpoints including at boarding gates, as well as before arrival into destinations where temperature screening is mandatory. 8. Can I check in for my flight at the airport counter of the airport kiosk? AirAsia strongly advises all guests to perform web check-in via the airasia.com website and have your boarding pass printed before coming to the airport. You can also use an e-boarding pass by checking in via the AirAsia mobile app. Otherwise, please proceed to the manual check-in counters. AirAsia is currently developing more contactless options for self-check-in and baggage drop at the airport. 9. What are my cabin baggage limits? To facilitate social distancing and minimize physical contact when boarding and disembarkation, only one piece of cabin baggage is allowed for each guest. More details are available here. All other baggage aside from handbags or laptop bags will need to be checked in. Please proceed to the check-in counter if you have any inquiry. 10. How about in-flight meals? Can I still purchase them on board and how safe will it be? All in-flight meals will need to be pre-booked at least 24 hours before your scheduled departure. All meals are produced and packaged hygienically following strict food safety requirements. All food production staff are regularly monitored on COVID-19 guidelines and all cabin crew handling food will be wearing disposable gloves. 11. How much time should I allocate at the airport given the various new safety measures? We advise all our guests to arrive early at the airport, preferably 3 hours before departure. This is to ensure there is enough time for all the necessary processes to take place. 12. Any other measures taken by AirAsia to ensure the safety of passengers? AirAsia is committed to stepping up all